Hello, hello. Any holiday that gives me an excuse to wear ears, I'm into. I like Easter though. Easter was always very magical for me as a kid. I totally believed in the Easter Bunny. I think I believed in the Easter Bunny until like beyond as long as I believed in Santa. Yeah, pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I figured out Santa through my grandparents, but the Easter Bunny, hadn't figured that out. Hadn't figured out how he hid all the eggs in the house without my parents noticing. And then once my parents realized that we hated hard-boiled eggs, they started getting like the plastic eggs, the colorful plastic ones. Like we would dye the eggs ourselves at that point. This is when I figured it out. We would dye they would let us dye the eggs, and then my mom was showing us how to like make them all super fancy. My mom was super artistic, and then they ended up getting the plastic eggs and putting money and candy and stuff in the plastic eggs instead. And so my grandparents would come and visit at Easter time. I loved Easter. I still love Easter. Why? Because I get to wear little bunny ears. There's other reasons too. There's spiritual reasons, not religious reasons. Some people might call it religious because yes, it does involve the whole story of the resurrection. But my nose is super itchy. There's a little hair in it, a whisker. I got one of my whiskers in my nose. Forgive me, I'm pretty hyper. As soon as I went and bought my ears, I went, boop, I'm in a good mood again. I should just wear these all the time throughout this quarantine. Do you celebrate Easter? I feel like there's a really long delay on these things. Do you celebrate Easter? Next week. Easter's today. Oh, are you Greek? Anyway, long delay. I'm going to assume that you're Greek. So Easter, all of these religious Christian holidays have really, for many years, when I like separated myself from the church for reasons that I'm still pretty confident I did the right thing. Pretty confident I did the right thing separating myself from the church when I did. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, when I did that, slowly, progressively, as I started my spiritual journey and started looking at what these holidays have become, I started getting annoyed by them. You know, like Christmas, I got annoyed because it's all supposed to be about kindness and compassion and believing in having faith in someone for who they are going to be, not for who you think they are, or who they really are as being a son of the Creator, a son of God. And it's about charity and all those things, and I wasn't seeing that, so I got kind of annoyed with Christmas for a while. I still loved it. I loved all the traditions and everything, and decorating the tree and the cakes and all that stuff, and buying my friends presents and stuff. I'm not really much one for like knowing what I want for Christmas. What I want for Christmas is money so I can buy other people presents, which is typically what I end up doing with my Christmas money. Easter, in my family, it became another gift-giving holiday. And I'm not opposed to that. I think a lot of families do that. And I remember always being excited because it was only like, you only got one gift, maybe two. You got one or two, and it was always like the one thing that you really wanted that spring. I really wanted this is really gonna date me, the little skip rope that you tied around your ankle and you skipped around it 1 foot at a time. I really wanted one of those. I got one. I was terrible at it. And then they got me like the one thing that was like It was like a bar that had a jump rope on it as well. That you tried to, like, I don't know why I didn't just want a jump rope. I wanted to jump. I was a bunny. I am a bunny. Anyway. And then for many years, it was just like an excuse to get together and party with my friends, and we would hide Easter eggs and whatnot, and hide other things than Easter eggs. And it's only recently, in the last few years, that I really started to look into what is the message behind these holidays, particularly because I'm studying the Course of Miracles. The Course of Miracles is a book that's written about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father being God, Son being all of us, Son as in sonship, as in every single human that's here, all of our different personalities and the soul that is behind them, and the Holy Spirit being the kind of the medium, the messenger that's in between. And yesterday, while I go on these really long walks right now, like I take about an hour-long walk in the afternoon, and I listen to my Course in Miracles as I'm walking. Hi! Happy Easter! I listen to my Course in Miracles while I'm walking. And yesterday's chapter, and this was not intentional, was about the resurrection. Now, it had been mentioned earlier on in the book, the resurrection, but just very briefly about how it's very misunderstood that, that there's magic behind it. And this is not my opinion. This is just what the Course in Miracles is talking about, that there's magic behind it, and that he rose from the dead, and that makes him the only Son of God, and that's why we need to worship him. And what the Course in Miracles teaches is actually, in fact, what the resurrection shows us is that there's always a new beginning, so long as we don't attach our mind, attach our identity to the body, then we will always rise again. Once we find our identity within the Spirit itself, the Holy Spirit, our own Holy Spirit, that we can recognize that we are not the body, that the body is a vehicle or a medium to allow us to communicate, to allow our souls, our spirits that we have decided to fictitiously separate ourselves from our Creator, from Source, with this deep belief that we are the body, we are our personality, we are our names, we are the bunny, whatever, that we're just as fictitious with our ego as the Easter Bunny. It's something that we've made up. And we spent years making this up. And if we hold on to that, if we are holding on to that identity of, I am this body which is separate from our Creator, then sure, the idea of death is very scary. In fact, the idea of anyone's death is very scary. The idea of a death of a relationship, the idea of a death of a job, the idea of a death of a species is terrifying, because it means finality of the end, right? But what the resurrection is teaching us, and the story of it, whether or not you believe he came back from the dead or not, the story of it, the intention according to the Course of Miracles, is that there is no such thing as a death, because this existence is eternal. There is such thing as ego death. That is true. There is such thing as the body dying. There is such thing as the brain waves dying. There is such thing as certain relationships from body to body dying. But the awareness that is perceiving all of this, it cannot die. And even the stories of Shiva that I've been talking about in my evening classes teaches the same thing. That high consciousness, high awareness, loving awareness is not subject to the terms of this worldly dream that all things that begin must come to an end. Because high consciousness, loving awareness, energy in general, like however you want to describe it, had no beginning and had no end. It's infinite. Therefore, it cannot die. And what Jesus' teachings were showing us was we are loving awareness. We are the creators. We are the ones that created this world, this reality. God didn't do it. Our Creator didn't create it. He created us, and therefore we then created something that made us separate from Him so we can experience ourselves. And through these bodies, we're communicating with ourselves. And so I love this thing that is here in this book here, Be Here Now by Ram Dass. All of his stuff is all about loving awareness. And the very, very last, I guess you could call it chapter, he calls it the last message. And the Course in Miracles calls it the final message too, the final judgment. The final judgment of our bodies as though we are the body. When we're willing to accept that today can be the day of the final day, that we are judging ourselves, that we are not forgiving ourselves, that we are not seeing ourselves as a holy experiencer, a holy witness having a human experience, and accept it as just things that are happening, then we are welcome into the kingdom of heaven, which is all around us. It's abundant around us. And man, do we have a lot of time right now to allow ourselves to open up our vision to see it. So what Ram Dass talks about is, and suddenly I dig who I am at that moment when I'm so stoned and I'm so high that I've let go of sensual gratifications. I'm out of time, I'm out of space. But boy, does it feel valid. It feels real. It feels like the first real thing that ever happened to me. Everything else had a certain hustle-like quality to it, except my suffering. Now, doesn't that kind of remind you of what we're experiencing right now? That as surreal as society feels right now, these moments that we are at home, getting carried away into the things that we actually really enjoy, like our artwork, our creation, things that we're doing, we think we're just doing it to pass the time, but we're doing it to create more in this time, right? This feels so much more real than all of that hustling and bustling we were doing earlier. Was I really into my suffering? You can really get into your suffering. You can really get into your self-pity. That's real, getting into it, because you've agreed upon it. Everything else may go, but we do have to suffer, right, in this reality that we've created, because we've created a reality that is separate from the kingdom of God. It's the same for all of us. We're just coming out of the dark night of the Protestant ethic that you must suffer, that we must suffer for some original sin that somehow has stained our souls from the moment that we were born into this reality, right? And that's the only way you'll be good. It feels so good to hurt so bad. We've all been on that trip, right? We've all decided that we need to suffer through this experience in order to be considered moral and just and righteous. That suffering is a great thing, that it's like straightening by fire. It's purifying and it's very good. But a funny thing is, what's the other paradox? Do you want another paradox? This trip, yes, this trip, this life, this dream that we are experiencing, that we are learning, that we are actually the creators of our own reality, that it wasn't God that created it, His power allowed us to create it because we are of Him, that it does require suffering so that we will want to go back to God. It's got to be suffering that is not suffered. You've got to go through this whole suffering trip, right? This whole life. But you don't got to be the guy who is suffering. So on these morning talks, I'm normally pretty chipper, right? I'm normally pretty happy. In fact, since this all started, for most of my life, there's been a lot of really, really tough, hard things that I've gone through. I've been raped multiple times. I was in an abusive relationship for 5 years. that I got beaten for, one of the rapes. Because he blamed it on me. I've gotten my heart broken multiple times, a nasty divorce from my parents that I experienced, and in and out of financial heartache throughout my entire adult life. And I'm very well aware that there's a lot of authoring of myself. I know I've created this experience. I've agreed upon this experience. But what I've changed my agreement to is if I'm going to be using that suffering as an excuse to suffer, if that makes sense. Am I going to use that suffering as an excuse to be shitty? Am I going to use that suffering as an excuse to just look at the world like this is hell and I'm a victim of it? No, that's not the choices that I've made. Occasionally I do. I catch myself in it. Thank God for meditation and yoga and these spiritual practices and the Course of Miracles is helping me slowly see that all of that suffering is suffering itself, the external thing, may not be my choice, but the way that I experience it is. And then this last page, I posted this on my story today. Do you think that when Christ was lying there and they're nailing the nails into his hands that he's saying, oh man, does that hurt? No, we're talking about a man that embodied divine loving awareness, that talked to every single person as though they were God embodied, because they are. You are. I am. Kiki is. Hi, Kiki. He's probably looking at the guy who's nailing him to the cross with absolute compassion. This is making me emotional. He digs why the cats are doing it. Ram Dass in his hippie way of talking. He digs why the cat's doing it. What he's stuck in, how much dust covers his eyes, why he's got to be doing it. That's the way it is. And he said the night before, well, the Last Supper, well, tomorrow's the big trip. And right here, yep, these are the nails that are gonna take me to that journey. He wasn't afraid. The only thing that makes us suffer is the fear. Fear of pain. And there's no greater pain than being completely isolated from our Creator. Being completely, anyone that has abandonment issues from their parents, you absolutely know that. There's no greater pain than that. But what Christ's death and resurrection shows us is that there is no separateness. The atonement is not atoning for all of the sins and karmas that we've created in this life. The atonement is our realization that none of it is real. That those were all created out of fear of something that just cannot happen. Because we are not only cut from the same cloth of our Creator, we are the cloth. We are what weaves it together. And he's experiencing all of these dreamlike fears through us. And what Christ's resurrection is telling us is that, am I he who is being pained? No, it's the body that is being pained. And that's the thing. Once you know that then, that pleasure and pain, loss and gain, fame and shame are all the same, then they're just things that are happening, man. That we're all just standing on a bridge, watching ourselves go by. And we can, through how we actually want to feel, which I had to make this decision this morning. Did I want to feel abandoned? Did I want to feel neglected? Did I want to feel alone and lonely on a holiday that I love so much? No. Do I have the option of not being dependent on other people to make me feel that way, to make me feel loved, to make me feel cherished, to make me feel special, to make me feel all the things I want to feel today, which is that I'm spreading joy throughout the world, that I have purpose here, that the things that I do inspire joy, peace, love, awareness, contentment, compassion, integrity, and respect. I can list all the things that I have a choice. And my choice was, first, go by the ears, because that's the easiest thing to inspire joy. Make people laugh, right? The whole idea of love. Whenever we're falling in love, we feel joy. Whenever we are loved, we feel joy. Whenever we experience love, whenever we watch love, when we get the fear out of our heart, we feel joy. So that's the first step. And then wanting to bring more and more joy into my life, I suddenly just started feeling like today's going to be a great day. It's Easter. It's magical. It's not magical because of who chooses to spend their time with me. It's magical because who I choose to spend my time with. And I'm choosing to spend my time with whoever needs a little joy, whoever needs some little bunny ears in their life. So for right now, that's all of you, including you, Mark. Hi, Mark. Maurice. And later on, it'll be whoever I see on the boardwalk when I'm listening to the Course in Miracles with my smile, and anyone that wants to talk to me, I am here, watching my life go by. But it was a shift, because I was first grumpy, a little disappointed, and then I took a step back, and as I surrendered those feelings, rather than saying like, okay, what is my body going to do to fix it, I decided to say, I'm committing myself to divine loving awareness, and I'm going to love whatever choice I make today. I'm going to love it because I'm watching my body move through its karmas, watching my body move through decisions that some of them are on autopilot because I'm still working with the nervous system and the body, and then I'm going to create from there. And then I just started to feel that shift. And my body wanted to go put bunny ears on. My body wanted to drink a kava. My body wanted to get in front of y'all with bunny ears and talk to you about something that makes some people very uncomfortable, especially in my line of practice where I'm in mindfulness practice and I teach Buddhism and I teach Hindu. And I'm like, nah, we're going to talk about the love of Christ today. Yeah. We're going to talk about love of Christ, not as in him being a Messiah, but as him being a representation of what all of us are in this sonship. We're going to talk about the Course of Miracles and realizing that the real miracle is when we can forgive ourselves and understand that any pain that is being, quote, inflicted upon our bodies is not a punishment. And that is what Christ's message was supposed to be about. That any pain inflicted on our bodies is the other person punishing themselves for whatever it is that they feel that they've done wrong. So, what today's meditation is going to be is an opportunity for us to witness our lives. For once, we're not just going to hang out in the present moment. For once, we're going to look at our lives like an epic journey of all of these beautiful, wonderful actions that we've created, that we have made. Just like we love to watch these thrilling movies on television that have all these big dramatic ups and downs, that's what we've created in our lives, because these bodies love drama. And our ego loves drama. But the who we really are loves love. And so we're going to stay in that loving awareness and allow ourselves to observe our life, its course, and where we are today. It's going to be a very serious meditation from a girl with bunny ears on, but hopefully I can bring you a little bit of joy. So, let me kill this music over here. Kill the music, that sounds horrible. Let me silence the music. I don't know where the remote is. Oh well, we're not silencing the music because I don't know where the remote is. Close your eyes. Come to comfortable posture. In fact, if you want to lay down in this one, you can lay down in this one. That's fine. Come to a comfortable posture, eyes closed. Release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Allow yourself to get settled into the stillness of your body. Allowing the thoughts to run through, acknowledging which ones you're identifying with, which emotions you're identifying with. Take notice of which emotion that you're feeling right now. And take no heed in trying to change that emotion. Just take notice of what it is. Feel that emotion as a sensorial experience within the body. Allowing yourself to scan the body, noticing how that emotion is affecting your heart rate, your rhythm of breath, noticing how that emotion or those emotions, because I'm sure they've started to evolve as energy often does, it moves, is affecting the comfort you feel in this stillness. But you still have the option to remain totally still no matter what that energy is doing. Now turn your gaze to the back of your eyelids. And no matter where you are, visualize yourself sitting on a large patch of grass, even a field of grass, overlooking a river. Feel the cool grass underneath your seat. Feel the warmth of the sun shining upon your skin. Allow yourself to hear the sound of the river calmly moving by you. And as you're looking into the reflection of the river, with the sun's beams sparkling off of the different ripples and currents, each one of those reflections represents a moment in your life. Starting with 1 week ago. And allow that current to bring you through this whole week. The moments, the highlights, the emotions that came and went. So impermanent, these emotions, right? And now release that little chunk of memory. And go back to 3 months ago. Let's say Valentine's Day. That's 2 months ago. That's fine. Feels like 3. And as you still are watching that river flow by, go moment to moment, not every single one, the highlights. without judging yourself, simply watching almost like an outline of these moments, of conversations, of events, noticing which provoke a sensation of gratitude, which provoke a sensation of remorse. But knowing that you do not have to identify with those emotions. Now release that section of time and go back to a year ago. Starting to notice who keeps on showing up in these moments, in these memories. Perhaps there's people that were part of some of your great dramas. Rather than trying to suppress any of those dramas, watch them the same way you would watch a movie. Seeing how it all, over the course of this year, led you up to this point, like a river flowing into the ocean. Just sitting on the banks of your own mind, watching the memories go by. Now turn the corners of your mouth to the hint of a smile. Release whatever memory you're holding on to right now. Coming back to just sitting on the green grass overlooking the river, feeling again the sun on your skin. Feeling the scalp relax, the shoulders release. Now we're going to go back further. 10 years ago, 2010. Where were you? Visualize it. The memory doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pleasant. It doesn't have to be unpleasant. Just experiencing those moments. As the witness of loving awareness. And as different emotions and thoughts arise, take that moment before you identify with it, before the provocation of bringing that experience into the present moment reality. Remind yourself, that is not here and now. I am not that experience. That was my past body. Perhaps you're starting to notice different patterns of emotions, appearances of certain characters. Or sometimes it's same character in a different body. Patterns amongst relationships that are creating the same experience within the body over and over again. It's okay. It's part of this epic journey. And now gradually reverse the timeline and begin to go back to the highlights of your adolescence, your teenage years, college years. For most of us, there's an emotional experience that seems to be consistent And then take it back even further to when you were in middle school, elementary school. Allow yourself to just witness those memories moving by you in that stream of life ahead of you, in front of you. And you're sitting on the banks of your mind watching it, no longer needing to get into the water and swim. Sitting as the loving awareness that is the witness. And now come back to present moment. What is the experience you're having emotionally in the body right now? Are you recreating those same dramas within the body right now? Our body is a magnetic field of atoms, particles. However, we are only 0.000000009% particle matter. The rest, the 99.1111111111191 is energy, which we experience energy through emotion. So as we come into this very generous moment of now, we have an opportunity to create a new energetic field, a new emotion. And this is where the magic is. We have an opportunity to disassociate ourselves with that ego that experienced that whole life that we just watched go before our eyes. And this is the only death that is real. The death of this fictitious character of the ego that has a name, that has ambitions, that desires material things and material wealth, which never satisfies the sensation that we actually are here to remember, which is that of divine, high vibrational awareness or love. Awareness in the all-encompassing awareness, accepting all things as they are, accepting our creation as it is. Just as the magical entities of Santa and the Easter Bunny stopped being real as soon as we stopped believing in them, you know where I'm going with that. Our body will still exist as we still exist in this reality, as we still exist in this dream state. However, we will wake up to who we really are. And who was the bunny? Who was Santa? Our creators. So what does that make you? Not the ego, not the emotions, the awareness that is perceiving those, the creator of those experiences. So now I ask you, rather than attempting to plan out all the little minute details of your day, what is it that you want to feel today? Joy? Compassion? Assurance? purpose. And I tell you, if these are things you want to experience, the best way to experience it is to give it to someone else, to wish it for someone else, to bless them with that same grace. That is the story of Christ's resurrection. Blessing us with the divine love and compassion so he can live eternally, even if it's only through stories. So to close, I'm going to sing. It's not really an Easter song. I don't know any Easter songs, but it's a good song. It's a good song for the death of our ego, the disappearance of our ego. So keep your eyes closed and allow yourself to feel whatever you feel through this music. Allow yourself to view whatever memories arise and let them go. Letting go of that belief that those are real as easily as you let go of your belief of the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus as soon as you learned the truth. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. I was blind, but now I see. Bring your palms together at heart center. Thank you all so very much for joining. If you missed this Easter message, don't worry, it's going to be on the live story. I'm going to be posting it. We talked about the Easter Bunny. We talked about the resurrection. We talked about magic, miracles, and the death of the ego, all in 45 minutes. And I even sang Amazing Grace. So I love you all. I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Or if you want to join a yoga class, I'm teaching 5 p.m. yoga class today, power yoga. Got the ears on. I'm the Easter Bunny for you today. I will be your Easter miracle. All right, so see you all hopefully online soon. Namaste.